tip of your tongue. Fact or fiction, which is it now? Truth is stranger and it gets too loud. What is being pushed today with gusto? I can smell the spin from a mile away.
Fires in shambles, sell me your position. Breathe off beat, I'm not buying the mission.
Truth be told, truth be told, truth be told, you're getting more unhinged.
I've spoken now, let it drop out. Read the room, feel that doubt. Truth be told, that's the line. No more smoke, no more
Truth be told, truth be and the truth shall set you free.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Truth Be Told. And yes, again tonight it'll be another solo affair, but that's all right. We got plenty in the bag ready to go tonight. Hey, first, yeah, I know the YouTube slide a little slow tonight, but I have a feeling once we get going, things will be getting a little bit more interesting here. I had some late breaking MMTLP news that I need to find where I stuck all my MMTLP stuff. I pretend, usually I am organized, but sometimes it's one of those things where it's more of a I'm pretending I'm organized kind of thing or something. There we go. There's where it is. We'll put that all in order there. There we go. So tonight's going to be kind of a different episode, aside from the fact that it's going to be a solo affair. Is that the topic's a little different. Usually we have a pretty current event thing. I suppose it's been talked about currently by a particular account. Let me jump to what I'm talking about here. The account in question is I don't know if anyone's been following this account on X or knows about market frauds. I think it's less a description about the topics it's talking about and more that the author is a bit fraudulent. Writes in that typical baggy style of making up things that they believe and then tries to find disparate evidence to prove the conclusions that they already have in their own head. And that's kind of the theme for tonight. I don't know if you noticed the Hypnotoad tongue-in-cheek, because his whole avatar is this toad, this ugly toad. So he hypnotizes and entranced meme stock baggies with abject lies, and we're gonna go over some of them. This one I kind of started trying to induce meltdown to one of the newest. Well, they aren't really a new writer because apparently on their blog they've been doing writing since 2021. No one's just noticed till recently. But their whole thing was that Anson profited from the Namaste short. Andrew Left received a part of the trading proceeds. And its answer describes compensation being funneled through a third party to hide it. And then of course you can go to the actual document here, and you can see I've got third party up in the search. So then you're like, well, that doesn't show up in the search. So you made up a quote that doesn't actually exist anywhere in Anson's response to the Andrew Tate defamation lawsuit. That isn't the only thing that this account has been up to. They had an article. This is when I first caught on to them. They had this article about why Anson Fund paid $50 million to end Cartoon Studios lawsuit. And you read the lawsuit, and it isn't even any sort of securities fraud. Securities fraud lawsuit. It's a swing trade lawsuit. The same thing that happened to that happened during the whole AMC litigation with fudge. Man, it's been 3 years and now I can't remember a single thing of some of the players. Oh my goodness. But the fund that was involved with that, pretty sure it also started with an A. What is with hedge funds and starting with the letter A? I would like to buy a vowel, please. A. But Antara, there we go. I knew it would come to me. But you know, they had a thing where they had gotten a position in APE, a position that was sizable enough for them to be considered an insider. And when they sold the, you know, the different options contracts that they were selling to try and make extra money off of the whole situation, they ran afoul of the swing trade laws and had to disgorge themselves of the profits. And that's basically what this lawsuit was about. Now, there was some questions about, you know, some of the funds and if they were Anson related funds and therefore they should be treated as ownership for Anson, the swing trade lawsuit. And so rather than fight that out in litigation, both parties decided to settle for less, which is what you do a lot of times in litigation, especially in these swing trade lawsuits, because they're not strict liability like, you know, say criminal law, where if you know, you have to prove intent and all these things. It's well, actually they are strict liability. Sorry. Strict liability is when you do the thing, it doesn't matter your intent, you are guilty. It's like if you get caught speeding, it doesn't matter if you intended to speed. It doesn't matter if you know, lost track of the speedometer. It doesn't matter if the car behind you was tailgating you. You were speeding. You were over the speed limit. It doesn't matter your intent. You broke the law. Here's your ticket. And that's how the swing trade laws work. If you are an insider and you sold shares within that window that you're not supposed to sell shares after buying, then guess what? You get hit with the swing trade law. That's just how that works. So, as you notice, this account has a real big hard on for Anson. Some of it justified, because I'm not going to pretend like if you look at a company, especially in finance and especially in Wall Street long enough, you will find skeevy things, and they rightfully should be called out for the skeevy things. But, you know, acting like there's this massive network of corruption where, you know, these people are working all together in a giant collusive, you know, puppeteer strings kind of conspiracy theory is ludicrous and dumb. But after that, they would continue on about their lies about the Andrew Left trial. The most important part of the Left trial wasn't about Left. Federal prosecutors told the court it was possible Anson could have also been charged. No. They like doing this quote mining thing. I'm going to get the actual like screenshot pulled up here because it's important to actually read what was said here. So this was what the prosecutor said. The context here missing is that Andrew Left's defense is kind of like playing into the baggie conspiracy theory that that Anson Funds was just as guilty, if not more so, than Andrew Left, and therefore Andrew Left should be absolved of the crimes he did because Anson should be too, you know, guilty too. So I guess everyone turns into a baggie when they're convicted of, you know, felony charges. So like this entire section here is the DOJ lawyer basically saying, no, that's not how that is. And in fact, if you go to line 14, this is them in response. So I don't think that goes to the issue here, that I think fairly the government doesn't dispute that it's possible Anson could also have been charged for a crime, which, by the way, for this whole Andrew Left thing, they end up getting slapped with failure to disclose to their own investors that they were actively, you know, working with Andrew Left to create these short reports. So they sort of got slapped with something. It wasn't a criminal fine. It was just, you know, failure to disclose to your investors what you were doing. But I don't think that in any way that Anson committed the crime in lieu of the defendant, which is what I think Holmes here requires. So basically, Andrew Left's defense and where the line of questioning that Andrew Left's lawyers were trying to go down was, you know, they want to play the substitution game. They want to say Anson is a guilty party or just as much, or if not the actual criminal here, not not Andrew Left. So you should let our client walk. And the government is actually saying the opposite of what Market Frauds is saying. They're saying, you know, there could have been a crime that individually Anson committed, but it has nothing to do with Andrew Left or his crimes. Andrew Left did his own criming, and he's responsible for that crime. But when you're dealing with baggies, the big problem is that nuance is like their kryptonite. So he would proceed to go on this. Well, I didn't want to close it. See, this is what I don't like about Restream sometimes, is it's very easy to close for no reason that your screen share. Follow the evidence. Left's federal trial put Anson's communications and payment and coordination before the jury. So yeah, that's basically his whole thing here. Yeah, where he shows that same silly quote again that we again, you can look at the quote and get the actual contents, the actual context of the full quote. I love how he stopped. Like, this is the other duplicitous thing about this. If you go to the actual quote here, it ends in a comma. It very clearly ends in a comma. Like right there. But then you go to the quote that Market Frauds did, and what does he end the sentence with? A period. Not an ellipses, not, something that would suggest that the sentence goes on. He ends it with a period here. Like, this was the entire thought, and it ended right there. There was nothing more to be said. When we can easily look at the actual transcript. And this is the shenanigans games that, these baggy commentators will do. They know that, their viewers will never do what we're doing right now and actually look at the transcripts, look and see if what this person is saying is the truth. So they know that they have a free license to just outright lie and manipulate the actual transcript because, none of their actual viewers will look into that. This one's pretty funny because he deleted it. On this one, he was trying to say that, Anson is mentioned so many times throughout the transcripts, because of the arrangement that we'll get into here in a second, because I kind of want to make this a deep dive into, the actual trial, because, we had briefly covered the Andrew Left case when it started and when some of the events happened. I think we mentioned the outcome when that came down, but we never really got to look at the trial because the transcripts hadn't been released yet. And it's not like you can go into a courtroom, especially a federal courtroom, and just run a camera. I hate that fact. I think courts should be much more open. Unless there's actually something confidential going on, they should be very open to so long as it doesn't distract from the actual court proceedings, to have as many cameras as possible in that courtroom. Like, a courthouse is supposed to be the people's court, not like the silly television show. I mean, like, we pay for these courthouses. Anybody can go walk into a courthouse and listen to what's going on. Anyone can go get a transcript after it's been compiled of the trial. So what is the grandiose difference between me watching the trial, me getting the transcript of the trial, and me recording the trial? Like, make it make fucking sense. I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. Sorry, brief rant there about how our legal system works. Just had to get that off my chest. But anyway, so he was talking about how I don't even know if it's he or she. So they were stating that, well, Anson's all over these filings, and as you can see, the post is unavailable because they deleted it. But they were saying that Anson was all over the, the transcripts so of the trial, so they must be a guilty party too, because they were mentioned a whole lot. And I, of course, make the analogy that the witness that saw the man who was murdered also probably is repeatedly in the story of the shooting in court, but no one's accusing them of being the murderer because that would be fucking stupid. Like this is the kind of logic that conspiracy theorists go down when they play games like this. They have no interest in honesty, so the only thing left for them to do is just, be dishonest about the facts and the truth. That led to this article, which I finally saw today, and it is a fairly long article that goes page by page through the different transcripts over the different days, basically spouting abject nonsense. Abject numpty nonsense. It is a glossary of cherry picking. So thorough in its cherry picking that it completely ignores sentences that would give greater context to the conversation that is happening literally lines below what was being cherry picked. Like if you had read the entire page, you would be able to discern that what is being said is not what is being proffered by market frauds. But again, like I said earlier, that's the point. That is the goal by design, is to create a false narrative that they know will never be tested or critically challenged by their viewers, because they're all meme stock baggies and they all want to believe this lie. Hence the title of tonight's show being The Comfortable Lie. It is the comfortable lie that all of these baggies want to believe because it makes them feel better that they didn't lose their money because they're an idiot. They lost their money because someone screwed them. And it helps them sleep better at night. So the first part of this is silly beyond belief, because I guess this is something that people don't necessarily understand if they haven't had any exposure to criminal law or even civil law. Opening statements aren't facts. Opening statements aren't the truth. Opening statements is a narrative constructed by a lawyer. It is the lawyer establishing what they think they will prove, what they think the story is, what they think the narrative is. It is a promise of what they are going to explain to you and how they think the evidence stacks up. And of course, the other side is going to get up and do the same thing. So the fact that, that market fraud is basically going through the opening statements of the DOJ lawyer here and treating them as if they're factual statements simply because a government lawyer said them, which conveniently, when a government lawyer asks or says something, he'll ignore that when it doesn't, fit his narrative. But it's kind of silly here how he's treating the exact statement as if just because the lawyer is saying that they're going to prove it, that it must be true. Any luck on getting Baggy Travis as a guest on the show? Would do numbers. I'm sure it would, but Baggy Travis only appears in the comments section when I'm talking about PP in a disfavorable light. Like, for example, I think the last time Travis was trying to act all big and bad and I'm a big tough guy was last year when the Houston Wade stuff came out. And I kindly pointed out that all of them were associated with Houston Wade. And he was talking about how it was defamation and everything. And I pointed out the Bill Pulte quote that, when he was going after Doug Sifu, when he said, if you don't want to be associated with Jeffrey Epstein, maybe don't be good friends with people associated with Jeffrey Epstein. I basically shoved that back in their face and said, maybe maybe if you don't want to be associated with a pedophile who tried to chase after a fictitious 11-year-old girl, maybe don't hang out with a pedophile who tried to chase after a fictitious 11-year-old girl. You know, just things you can do to make your life better. It's just funny how they don't like when their own logic is just like thrown back at them. It makes their life a lot harder. Let's see here. Where was I? So yeah, basically this was all stuff that was pulled directly from. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it because again, this is not facts and evidence. This is just the lawyer talking. So then next up was the like Michael Gorstein stuff. Let me see if I can find my notes on that. And as pointed out here, Gorstein is basically the CEO of Kronos Group. And I have a theory, a game theory. Actually, it's a meme stock theory as to why Gorstein might be tied up in all this. Because again, CEO of Kronos, and Kronos is a Canadian company. And Andrew Left's short came out about the time that shortly after they first appeared on US markets. Like I want to say Kronos first listed in US markets, what was it, February or March? It was March, I think, of 2018. And Andrew Left's report came out in the summer of 2018. And so a lot of Andrew Left's connections with Anson was, and we'll get into this more later, was basically to go after Canadian companies that he couldn't easily short in US markets. So if Left, it makes sense that Left would have a connection with Anson funds because he couldn't easily get a short maybe on definitely with Namaste, but potentially with Kronos, and so that was his reason. That was the reasoning for getting involved with them, because they could easily get locates for him. And you know, also the DOJ lawyers kind of go into that too later here. So they ask, are you familiar with the Canadian hedge fund known as Anson Funds? And the response was yes. And did Anson Funds ever reach out to Kronos about doing business? Yes. Were you ever concerned that any of the information that was being put out by Kronos was coordinated by people? Yes. How do you feel the Citron report treated Kronos investors unfairly? Again, doesn't really prove anything, but above, okay, here it is, and where they talk about the financing. So, oh my goodness, this one is one of the big stupids to unwind. It's not necessarily damning on market fraud's efficacy as a, I'm just going to call him a blogger because I refuse to call these kinds of people journalists. But Anson would typically offer these structured arrangements where they would either want to borrow stock so they could short the stock at some type of raise where the company would issue stock in exchange for money. So this is a type of structure you see a lot with these like shitcos that we've talked about, where, you know, a company who's already got a position or is going to get a short position says, hey, we'll take an issue of your stock. You'll get the money for the stock issuance. We'll have our locates, or we will have future, you know, returns to the borrower at a fixed price. We'll be able to make our money back. You'll make money, and we'll all be a happy family. Now, you can say whatever you want to about this. It's skeezy, scuzzy, under the table. But one thing it definitely isn't is illegal. So again, the city under described instance is pitching and no, it's not the exact same book as the Meta the Meta trustee pled. In that case, that was completely different. Like Anson and others, the market makers, all of that, they were the accusation was that they were spoofing the price down, while also having while Meta was trying to issue shares into the market. So no, it's not the same situation. They're completely different allegations, and it just shows what kind of slipshod understanding that they have, pretty much. So this was on Cross from Left's lawyer. You spoke to a hedge fund called Anson about Kronos, correct, sir? You spoke with the fund in doing research on Kronos. Okay, so we're not going to. So we're just going to leave it at the question and not like get the answer or anything. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, this is the one where it was. Yeah, where was that on the spot there? Page 209, because there was some stuff beyond that that gives us actual context. Let's see here. What page was that? That was 129. So. Wait, what date was that? That was on, oh, that was on the 13th. So it'd be this one. Not that one. It would be this one over here. So page 129. Boom. So yeah, they sustained here. It was, where was it? It was just beyond. So they go on to talk about funds generally. So you spoke with funds in doing research on Kronos as a part of my work. Absolutely, on a daily basis, I speak to my clients, and your discussion with clients informed part of the reason why you disagreed with Mr. Leff when he put out this report. No, who did you speak with? Why did you speak with funds? Why do I speak to my clients' funds? I speak to my clients on a regular basis. It's part of my day-to-day job to give them my opinion. So you only speak to funds when they're your clients? Yes. And you don't disclose in your reports that that you're speaking with funds who are clients, correct, sir? What relevance would that be? There's no reason to, correct? Yeah. Now your price target in the rebuttal was $10. Okay, so they're going to get into price target. So basically, the whole argument here is that, because this was still grossing, right? Was that, again, it's how the framing is with this. Like the framing is all off because, again, all this is establishing from here to, if you actually read past this, Landry, it was, where was it? Yeah, to this here, to the continuation of the cross-examination, to where they decided to stop instead of continuing going. It was because Anson was already a client. Both sides didn't. The Anson thing wasn't central. The point of the argument was that up here they were trying to let's see here, what was it? Anson, the funds reach out doing business. The point of the matter was separating trying to separate the situation here. So but like the point wasn't that it was structural to the allegations of Andrew Left or anything like that. The point of the Anson Kronos cross relationship was establishing the factor here. Remember what the two parties are trying trying to argue here. The government's trying to go after left, and they think that left is the one that's committed the crime. So establishing Anson as simply just a party that is doing business is important rather than a part of the enterprise, whereas left is trying to, string his own narrative here. So it's not, the cross relationship isn't central, it's just a piece. And the fact that you can tell it isn't central is the fact that here is one sentence, two sentence, three sentence, four sentence, and then on the next day, one sentence, two sentence, and some trailing exposition about just funds in general. So over 2 days, a total of 5 sentences on on 2 documents that, if you go back here, are 200 pages long. So you're talking about 6 sentences over 2 days of transcripts totaling 400 pages. But allegedly, it's a central issue in determining this matter that Anson was involved. Okay, yeah, cool story, bro. Wednesday, cross-examination of Kronos. Okay, we already did that. Martin Landry. The government used Landry to what a legitimate research looks like. Let me try and scroll down here. Because I tried to do some notes while I was going over this, and the big thing that statements, no. So the statement here is, has that hedge fund ever ghostwritten any one of your research reports? And he responds, no, never. Now, key here is any of your research reports. Look, I'm not going to pretend like this does not happen in the industry. And if it does happen, it's supposed to be relatively disclosed. But say even something for Hindenburg, if you think that Nick Anderson was the only person that had a hand in writing the articles for Hindenburg, you're kind of silly. Kind of a lot of silly. And probably Nate had final editorial say, more than likely, but ghostwriting isn't an unknown thing. Having a staff of writers writing stuff for you in the entertainment industry is not an unknown thing. So that's why he obviously has to say any of your reports, no, never, because this is a thing that happens in writing and whether it's financial writing, whether it's journalism, whether it's writing books, like this stuff happens all the time. So I get what the government is trying to say. They're trying to suggest that this is probably shady, but I think it's a bit naive to suggest that it just doesn't happen at all. Would it be important to your individual readers who reads the reports to know if a hedge fund participated in the research, which is the more important argument that the government is trying to make, that if this is happening, this should be disclosed, right? To which Martin says, absolutely yes. And that's the point that the government is getting at, is not that, is the research being ghostwritten by someone? That's not relevant. The relevant part is the author disclosing it as such? That's the bigger problem. This stock reaction appears significantly overdone. It means that the reaction is exaggerated, in my view. We'll get back to that. Remember that sentence. Keep it and store it away. Keep it close to you at all times. And remember it, because we'll get to who was exaggerating these reports. If it was Andrew Left or Anson Funds that was exaggerating the reports, because that's going to be key. But notice that the independent journalist or independent equity analyst, Martin Landry, that was brought in, says, looking at the reports, it looks like that they're exaggerating. The statements are overdone, that it exaggerates the opinion and is kind of heavy-handed. So the framing that I take bones with here is, first, a hedge fund ghostwriting or helping prepare research is something that has never happened to him, and that readers must be told about it. Second, it points to the current report triggered Cronus significantly overdone and exaggerated. The attack drove the SAR down. The facts justified it. That's different. Yeah, but again, it's never happened according to him and that readers, and that they must be told about it. So, like, again, though, it has likely happened. The point is that it should be disclosed. By the 14th, we move on. Anson Puri co-wrote. Oh, yeah, this is the big one. Remember when I said that you should really hold close to your chest who's doing the manipulating here? So the point that was extracted out here. 1 second. I had to catch up on where my notes were. So, where is it? Oh, goodness. Here we are. I'm pretty sure this is where that is. So the testimony that was excerpted here, okay, so I guess that's where that is. So, you there? Can we destroy Cron? Cron short. Can we get $2? Left to Perry in Telegram. Who wrote many of the drafts of the Kronos short report? Sonny Perry did. Sonny Perry of Anson, the Canadian hedge fund, right? Yes. Here's our latest recommendation. Short NASDAQ Kron, a short-term price target is $6. Remember that price. Did Anson have copies of the Kronos short report in advance of the defendant publishing it? Yes, because he was particularly drafting it. Question, who is that? Sonny Puri. Puri draft document. What does Puri put as the target price for the version of the reports to send to the defendant? $7.50. I will short it more if Kron gets $10.50. Now, who owns it? Candy from the baby. The problem here is he excludes a very important part of this entire conversation. So if you go, so he starts here at page 72. So let's go to page 172 then. So we get the same stuff here that he had, I'm pretty sure. Oh, 73 is what I wanted. Sorry. So here's the stuff that he was talking about. So see here, here's the same report here. Who wrote many of the drafts? Sonny Perry did. The drafts were portrayed by Perry. They were. Just to remind everyone, what was the ultimate price target in the final Kronos short report? $3.50. Remember that. If we look at Exhibit 305 in evidence, is that Mr. Left providing talking points to Mr. Perry in August 29th, 2018? Yes. And what was the subject of the email? Something like this. If we then X out this and look at the top two messages, the defendant writes to Mr. Perry, can you just read the second line there for us, Inspector? Here's our latest recommendation, short cron with a short-term price of $6. So this is 1 to 2 days, before the report is published, and the defendant is discussing target prices for $6. I believe 1 day before, yes. All right. Did Anson have copies of the short report? Yes, because it was they were partially drafting it. And when you say partially drafting it, who is that? Sunny Prairie. And if you look at Exhibit 307, already in evidence, is this a document from the very same morning, August 30th, 2018? It is. And if you look at the subjects and the attachments, what do these indicate? The attachment was the document for Cron. And the document, if we look at the attachment on the second page, what does Mr. Perry put as the target price in the version of the report he sends to the defendants? $7.50. So the whole point here is, Anson is saying, hey, based on the research we're doing and the evidence we see, the price is $7.50. And here is them going over how Andrew Left is moving the price down. First, it was $6, then $3.50. So there's the price that's being shifted, and it shows the editorial agency that Andrew Left has in this. And remember when we were talking earlier, when Market Frauds is pointing out how Martin, the other witness, was saying that, it felt overdone. It felt like that this was being pushed beyond what a reasonable price target should be, and it felt heavy-handed. Well, the evidence on record doesn't show that that's what Anson was doing. It shows that's what Andrew Left was doing. But I know, when you can cherry pick and, ignore certain parts of the evidentiary record to get the results you want, suddenly, your narrative starts to fall apart. Suddenly, it doesn't look as clean as you want it to be when you look at the whole transcript and can break it down and go line by line. But again, most people, the assumption is most people will never do this because it takes time to go through the transcript and look at it, what is being said, and understanding the context of everything and going, what you're saying is bullshit. And none of his audience will do that because they want to believe the lie. They are mesmerized by Hypnotoad's fucking lies that they will never challenge them. So, next, moving on to the namaste part. Anson's founder offered to short and send a check. This is silliness beyond silliness. So, this is also in the May 14th transcript. No, we need to go take care of some spammers. Bye. It was nice knowing you. Deleted. Anyway. So, you exhibit 311, September 11th, Kassam. You will die. Namaste announced the pledge party. What a story it would make. Haha. Sunny can send the details. Okay. This one's actually kind of funny. I gotta go find this because I should have planned this ahead of time because the pledge party thing is actually pretty funny. So, I believe someone on Meltdown put up the excerpt from that. But the pledge party was this party that had Snoop Dogg at it, where people were pledging to hold their shares like some meme stock cult. It was it was pretty funny here. Let me see if I can re-find it again. I know it was in that post that I had shown earlier. Gosh. I can really tell my internet is struggling when it does some hit shops. Just scrolling through Reddit. That would have been too far. Should be right about here. It is. So right here. Wow, there was a Plute Fest before Plute. It was Snoop Fest. Did you all? Did they all sign contracts and get $100 for the pledge? Did a Tunisian aid? So here's the excerpt. To the extent that paragraph 37 purports to characterize any correspondence between Kassam and Left, which we just talked about, the correspondence speaks for itself. Defendants admit that on or about September 11th, 2018, Kassam emailed Left about a pledge party featuring Snoop Dogg that Namaste was hosting in Montreal, Canada, for those who pledged not to sell their stock. It is like Plute Fest. Defendants further admit that Kassam believed the party was a pump and dump scheme. I mean, can you blame him? All right. So that's some background on that. Oh my God, I wish I could borrow it. Kassam, we can short it for you and send a check. Traded 100 million in volume today. Done. Let me kill it. The primarily drafted first short report published in 2018 related is I'm gonna say who primarily drafted it. Anson did. Left an email from Mr. Perry to Mr. Left, a draft on Citron letterhead, short-term price $1. Again, we're going to get into some missing context here. But what's hilarious about this thing is the whole we can short it for you and send a check is exactly what how a broker operates. That's basically what Anson was for Left, aside from the other like stuff that they were doing of writing these reports. That, this Namaste is a Canadian company. So Left would have to find someone with shares of it or access to Canadian markets, which Anson would have because they have an branch office in Toronto. And that's basically the whole, like, he tries to insinuate something nefarious about we can short it for you and send a check. What they're basically saying is, so long as you back the collateral for your losses, we'll short the shares. We already have an account. We have access to Canadian markets. We can short it. And any profits, minus our cut for taking the risk, we can pass along to you. That's no different than you calling up your broker and going, short me 500 shares of GameStop tomorrow, and they go execute the trade on your behalf. Like the difference is negligible, because the only difference being that, like, Anson isn't a broker, they're a hedge fund, but they're basically doing a transaction on behalf of someone else, something a brokerage would do. So again, trying to read nefarious actions into something that is not criminal in any way. We're going to get into why what Andrew Left did was criminal and why Anson isn't connected to it. Because again, in the same section, you go read the context of this entire thing. So he stops at page 191 in this testimony, and fails to go on beyond that. Because if you go past to page 192, or even it starts on 191 and then goes to 192. So let's go back up here to where he was talking. So this draft is on Citron letterhead, correct? And that was the part that he left off at. So we got all this, page 180, 189, 190, 191, and now we're going to pick up from where he left off. Citron letterhead, short-term price target $1. And that short-term price target is $1. The defendant then, a few days later, published a tweet and issued the report on Namaste. Yes. And if you look at Exhibit 3 in evidence, is that the defendant's tweet on Namaste on September 14, 2018? Yes, it is. And what does the defendant include in this tweet? He says, Namaste, Canadian urgent update. Quebec newspapers highlight Namaste's illegal activities and Quebec investigation into Namaste for violation of laws. Tilray quickly drops. Namaste shareholders are next. Was there a report also issued that day by Cetron? There was. And if we look at Exhibit 3A, is this a copy of that report that was published? Yes. What was the target price on September 13th, 2018 in this report? 25 cents. So again, who has editorial control of how these reports are being drafted? Is it Anson or is it Andrew Leff? Because the last time Anson saw the report on the Citron letterhead, the price target was $1. So, and that was, what was the date on that? So Exhibit 312, September 12th. So September 12th, and by a day later, it's gone from $1 to 25 cents. And there's only one person who could have made that change, Andrew Leff. That's the point of this entire exchange. Yet again, Market Frauds is so far up his own fucking ass. At this point, I don't think he's up his own ass. I think he's just willfully being disingenuous. His intent is to craft a fictional narrative that panders to the conspiracy theories that baggies believe, rather than focusing on the facts. And in order to construct a conclusion that you already have, you have to shave off a lot of facts. That is why in this 1 day transcript, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of a 200-page document. And he's only taken 10 of them. It's like 5% of the whole document. And even then, it's not the whole page. It's like a sentence within that page. Because context is this motherfucker's kryptonite. All right. So we get from there to day 4. And we finally get to move on to a new transcript. On May 15th. The government concedes Anson could have been charged. And we already went over this one. The whole argument about they could have been charged about unrelated things. But, you know, when you're busily trimming off context, you know, you're going to skip over that fact. But we already went over that, so I'm not going to go over it again. The 1.1 million Anson money laundering is an actual crime with an actual definition. It is to take money that was used in the commission of a crime and laundering it through different entities to make it look like it is clean money. It is like, say, for instance, for illusory purposes, Bill Pulte, you know, starts dealing crack cocaine in Florida. The proceeds from that is dirty money. So he goes and uses it as part of his trading in the markets. And then he gets that money back from all the financial firms and, you know, business operations. And that is clean money that you can use. It's not connected to the crime. That's money laundering. Like, so the fact that now this is the duplicitous part that, you know, the SEC slapped Anson for a fine for, was that they were trying to hide the disclosures. And that was the whole purpose of this entire setup here, was to not have to disclose Andrew Leff's relationship with Anson funds and the reports that they were working on. But that, you know, the creation of the report isn't a crime. The lack of disclosure was the violation. And so now he's trying to say that them routing this money through Falcon, that again, also Andrew Tate admitted in cross that he didn't hide it. It went to an account in his name. So like calling this money laundering not only is incorrect definitionally, it's obviously intentional. It's an intentional act to make a disclosure violation look like an actual felony when it's not. Does it, prove that Anson's lack of disclosure to its investors was willful? Yeah, it sure seems like that. But again, it's not money laundering, and to characterize it as money laundering is intentional. The point is to deceive. Okay. This is also silly. So even on cross, Anson is the trader who places shorts. No, that's like saying Fidelity. It's like, make this any sort of normal trade here. Even on cross, Fidelity admits it was the trader that placed the shorts and paid Sean. Again, there is nothing illegal about someone doing a transaction on behalf of or for the benefit of another person. That's what brokerages do every day. There's nothing illegal about it. The fact that Andrew Left wanted to put on a short trade on Namaste and Anson Fund facilitated it for them is not illegal. Like, I don't know how many different ways I need to explain that to anybody, but that's just facts. There's nothing illegal about that process. And the characterization of it being illegal is ridiculous, because you're basically, if that's illegal, then every transaction every broker does on a daily basis is an illegal transaction. And that's ludicrous. That's stupid. What's funny is I'd have to find the exact post, but I'm pretty sure even someone who is, in the financial markets made that exact same point. And it was just, it just proves how not only ignorant of the law, but ignorant of finance in general is the author of this is. And quite frankly, as we've discussed many times before, the only way you become a baggie is by being ignorant of financial markets. That's just the way it is. Okay, so this one is also really duplicitous. So, Ezra Goldberg, General Counsel and Chief Compliance Officer of Atom, testifies about Citron's separate sub-advisory relationship with Antom, and the DOJ trading experts Ross Walker also continues. Let's talk Atom Investors. What is it? It's a hedge fund with approximately $6.6 billion in assets. Did Citron Capital serve as a sub-advisor to Atom's investments? Yes. No, it's not logged for completeness. And it's not logged just to keep the two funds separate. It's logged because it's different materially for this case. Atom is in here. That's how you spell it? Yeah, Atom is in here because the entire point is that Atom was fully disclosed. Everyone knew about the relationship. Everyone knew that Left was compensated to do financial research for Atom. So it has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with like definitionally. And the reason why Market Frauds has to sidestep this is because it immediately destroys his narrative, because the DOJ is making this distinction. Atom is different from the Anson Funds thing because Andrew Left didn't try to hide that, he was basically getting writing help from Anson, and there wasn't this disclosure issue, and that he wasn't, and there wasn't the issue of him trading around his statements without proper disclosure, or all these other things that led to him getting charged with wire fraud and market manipulation. It's the lack of disclosure. That's the distinction. But having to admit that the distinction is disclosing where your information is coming from, what your interests are, what you're going to do with this stuff. Like, we'll get into this when we talk about how I hate how all the short sellers are talking about how the Andrew Left ruling makes them all criminals, because this cuts both ways. There are idiots on the other side of the aisle who should absolutely be able to read these transcripts and know fucking better. And I'll call out both of them. And that's why this show is different than all the other disingenuous shows, whether it be on the market side or the meme stock side or whoever. I'll call a spade a spade. I don't care who it is, but we'll get to that once we get to the end of this. But the distinction is that Adam's whole structure was disclosed. Adam's alpha arrangement into Anson's scheme is wrong. It's easy for Anson to explain. No, like the point has nothing to do with any of that. Yeah, and also when he's saying that that left had more than one paymaster, like this is also like ludicrous. It's also funny how these meme stock people will never get on to the fact that people who are paid for long research, it's only the people who are paid for short research that are apparently evil. But the entire framing of this is absolutely absurd. So we move to May 20th. The DOJ, so Fury gives the green light to publish the Namaste attack. Oh my goodness. So find where that is. That's probably down here. So the entire framing here is that respect to Namaste specifically on September 14, 2018, the individual named Sonny Perry actually sent you an email authorizing you to post a report with Mr. Left copied. Link the email looks like this. It says it's good for sometimes he shared drafts with professional traders like Sonny Perry, correct? Yes. And then if you go on 20 transcript. So you go on from this, like the page 51 thing here. Let me find which, get rid of that one. So we got the 20th. So let's go to his thing here on page, I think it's 151, right? So here we are, right? Here's where he was. And with respect to Namaste specifically, on September 14th, 2018, did an individual named Sonny Perry actually send you an email, authorize you to post a report with Mr. Left copied? I'm not sure. If you can see an email, would that possibly refresh your recollection? Sure. Look in the red well with your name on it. If you look at 315, don't read from it. You can read it, but don't read it out loud. Let me know when you have a chance to review it. Got it. So, Mr. Lenzik, the question is, do you now, having viewed that, do you recall whether or not Mr. Perry, Sonny Perry, authorized you with Mr. Left Coffee to post the report on September 14th, 2018? I would still run it by Andrew. Remember, again, who has the editorial authority here. But yes, this looks like it says good for it. Notice the like difference between what he's saying here. So with respect to nominee specifically, did an individual copied? This looks like it's like he immediately copies off, he cuts out the proceeding, doesn't even give you an ellipses to let you know that there's more here. But you go instead to the 20th and you can find the extra context right here. Answer, I would still have to run it by Andrew, but yes, this looks like it says good, go for it. That really probably should be quote marks there and a capital G, but you know, just my editorial choices. Would have to, and again, he cuts off that he reiterates, I would have to run this by Andrew and say everything's ready. Should I post it? Again, Anson at every turn is deferring to left. Left is the one in control. Left is the one in control of the trades. Left is in charge of the editorial control of how the reports are posted, when they're posted, what they say. All of that is under left's control, not Anson's control, as much as market frauds makes it to be. That's why the preceding part of the sentence is missing, and the sentence after that's here in the transcript, like this right here. Can I get a different color? Okay, delete that. Delete that. I get a different highlighter color just briefly. Okay, it doesn't want to let me do that. I guess I don't get to do that in here. Oh, there it is. We'll make it hot pink. Hot pink sounds right. Like this part right here is the one that market frauds gave us. Yes, but this looks like they say it's good. But on both sides of that, I'd still have to run it by Andrew. I'd still have to run it by Andrew. Oops, sorry. I help if I was on the right screen. There. Now you didn't see me fumbling around with Adobe, so that worked out. So like, here's the part that, you know, market frauds quoted in the pink. But yes, this looks like it says good, go for it. And on both sides, I'd still have to run it by Andrew. I'd still have to run it by Andrew. And that's not like the only part of this. So your understanding is whoever's telling you specifically to do it, it's Mr. Left that is authorized to do it. Or you would follow up to make sure it was authorized by him. Like this is the key sentence here from line, like the key question and answer from line 3 to line 6 on page 152. So your understanding is whoever is telling you specifically to do it, it's with Mr. Left's authorization, or you would follow up and make sure he authorized it. Yes. Like that's his entire theory sunk like the Bismarck. I could keep going through this. There's like a whole shit train that like continues to go on, and maybe I'll make some longer live stream, not live stream, but like an actual edited video going over each and every lie in this document. But it's like this the whole way down. Every single way. Oh, we have to settle on the ending here though when we get to the actual charges though. Because this part is really, really funny. When the court says guilty on the Kronos charges, you know, that's proof that Anson was part of the criminal conspiracy, therefore they're guilty too. But when they say not guilty on Namaste, it like that doesn't acquit Anson, because there was clearly evidence in the record that proved that Anson, like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with this loser. Like, he lies about everything that the transcript says. He'll exclude, or they will exclude, parts of the transcript that don't fit their narrative. And at the end of the day, even a not guilty verdict does not, acquit you of being part of this conspiracy. they'll just make you part of the conspiracy anyway. It's just so dumb. It's so incredibly dumb on so many levels. But I'll try and put together a video going over all of this, and it'll probably be a little bit cleaner because I'm not going to be fumbling around for stuff, but I'll try and work around, you know, I've got classes and stuff I'm doing, so I can't like spend a whole lot of time doing that stuff. I've got a bunch of edited video projects I want to do, but just I don't have the same time that I used to do that. But the other part that I wanted to get to is this narrative that stinks up the room that I absolutely hate. And that's this like short seller, you know, like sympathy for Andrew Left that is completely undeserved. This is a guy who basically said, I'm short this company because it's shit. Told everyone that, traded around it, and didn't disclose he was going to do it. Oversold his reports, making the company sound even worse. So not only was it that, you know, that his statements were, you know, that he was trading around them, but that they were almost perceived by other market participants, other independent reporters, as being hyperbolic, like intentionally over the top. Like we even saw in the testimony where Anson was saying, we think that a reasonable price target is probably somewhere around $7.50 for Kronos. And then, you know, and Andrew Left comes in and then it's $6 and then it's $3.50. Or Nama saying, you know, $1 sounds about right. Actually, let's make, and then Andrew Left comes in and actually we'll make it 25 cents. It's so obvious what's going on here. If you just bothered to read, what was going on here, like it's so clear what the DOJ's argument was. It wasn't that Andrew Left traded around his statements. It's that he didn't disclose he was going to do it. It's not that Andrew Left was having his reports ghostwritten by Anson. It's that he didn't disclose it. And most importantly, he was, you know, being hyperbolic with his statements, knowing that it would cause the stock to go down further because of Andrew Left's trusted credibility. Thus, he would be able to profit more from trading around the statements that he made. That's the argument. You can make these short-term trades, but you better tell people when you do it that you're going to, or it looks a lot like a pump and dump. It looks a lot like market manipulation. It looks a lot like wire fraud. That's what that's the entire argument that the SEC and the DOJ was making. You can do these things, but you had better tell people you're going to do these things.
The conviction of famed short seller Andrew Left for securities fraud isn't justice. It's a dangerous government warning shot meant to silence anyone who dares challenge overhyped corporate narratives.
Wait a second. There's a part that makes this funnier.
With public criticism. While they crucify a short seller for tweeting his bets, the real fraud continues unchecked. Endless AI money pits.
Look, there's some delicious irony to be found in a guy trying to defend Andrew Left for what he did, talking about how it's an attack on free speech and short sellers and people righting the wrongs of overhyped stocks and all of this stuff and scams and fraud. And then the first direct example is AI stocks, while using an obvious AI generated voice doing the VO for your video as you just can't make this shit up. It's just so funny. But to someone a little bit more credible, like Edwin Dorsey, I see it says here the unjust prosecution of Andrew Left, part 1. I couldn't find any other parts, so maybe he reneged on his stupidity and just stopped there. One of the things that like really cheesed me off on that is this part right here. So Andrew Left should have Andrew Left should have the right to make short-term trades around his own commentary. The jury decided no. What struck me most while attending the trial was how much of the alleged misconduct was simply the industry standard practice of activist short sellers. Do research, take a large short position, release the information to the market, and quickly close part or all of your position. The prosecution called it trading opposite. The defense called it catalyst-based trading, and Mr. Esseley called it a strategy designed to take quick profits through social media posts motivated by his desire to make a quick buck. The practice of short-term trading around reports is common, which is true. Often, short activists will use outside partners, balance sheet partners, to trade short-term around short reports and get a cut of the profits. Don't take my word for it. Here's the disclaimers. But that's the point. That's the point, Edwin. He didn't disclose it. That's why he got charged with a felony. Everyone else disclosed it. He didn't. He didn't disclose it. That's why he is going to federal prison. That's the difference. The lack of disclosure is the difference. Because without the disclosure, how does this look any different than a pump and dump? How does this look any different than what the Atlas Trading Bros did, where they gave inside tips about certain like penny stocks to their followers that they already had a position in, and then when the stock pumped, they rugged them. Like, what fundamentally, without the disclosure, is the difference? I don't get how someone can sit there and pretend like there fundamentally isn't a difference between those two things. And that's basically what the SEC was trying to say. I don't get what the confusion here is. I don't get how someone couldn't look at the testimony, the evidence, and the facts and not get it. Not get it in the slightest. It has such an obvious answer and an obvious conclusion. But I guess when you have motivated reasoning, whether it be a short seller or a meme stock flunky, you'll ignore all the evidence in the world to get to the conclusion you want. But anyway, before we get into the meme stock section, we have a bit of new news. If you've been following the YouTube channel, you already know about this one. Poor Fish Sticks got his ass walloped. It's funny, like, you can pay for polling to say that you have have 20% of the vote in the Florida race, and it doesn't matter. Funny enough, all the legitimate polls were putting him around 8 to like 10%. Plus or minus 3 to 5%. Sure enough, 10.5% is where he finished, getting absolutely crushed by Byron Donalds, to no one's shock and surprise. The only real shock and surprise here was Jay Collins, who came out with a much bigger percentage than I think most people expected. A lot of people were seeing him around Fishback, but then again, also there was a lot of undecided voters that may have swung that a little bit, but yeah, Fishback's little Florida campaign grift is over. We also got some new news from media mainstream that James Fishback's that he had received people who were wanting to talk to him about other Fishback shenanigans. So hopefully more news on that to come. Did I get that one out of order? Because I know I must have forgot to put it up here, because I know it was in here. But also, he's already started going through James Fishback's campaign advisor, created several PACs, one of which is called BD Florida, which received $100,000 in cash donations from a mystery company with no address on its finance form. BD Florida then gave the entire $100K to the American First Strategy LLC, which is a PAC directly controlled by Fishback. There's just all sorts of this shady PAC finance. And I know that that's a big political thing, is like the money churning around here. And usually with PACs, it's arm's length. It's supposed to be at least arm's length, but with Fishback, it's really hard to tell because you have a lot of parties that are commingling here. Like we've talked about it when media mainstream has been on before, that some of these like shady Wyoming funds that, you know, are part of the funding that Fishback has been doing. It's a mess. And like he says, I agree, there should be an audit, there should be an investigation. But in the aftermath, some of the far right people that supported Fishback, the Goipers, were starting to have a silly dizzy here. Like this entire post is an indictment on them. Florida 2026, Fishback. I'm going to campaign my ass off and want to stop data center construction. And oh yeah, of course, the part there that really gets them going. He only gets 9%. And then of course we've got freaking Blazarians. I'm going to campaign and I have no plan for if I get to Congress. And by the way, Randy Vine is a Jew, so, and gets 70%. Yeah, because you can hate Bilzerian, but he has a higher name recognition than, you know, Fishback. And on top of that, you know, he's just straight up pandering to his base. And of course, the cult is going to respond accordingly. I like how it's funny, how not to run an insurgency like this was made by the same, you know, sort of Goiper kind of media outlet space. How not to run an insurgency campaign inside the failure of Casey Pulte and James Fishback. James Fishback is a headliner on this, but ironically enough, he gets lumped together with Pulte. I don't even know who the fuck that is, and gets like nary a fucking paragraph to his name. Meanwhile, other like, yeah, here it is. Like he gets like 3 paragraphs about this. I spoke with Fishback, and you know, not even Fishback, a Fishback volunteer. And pushed it campaign. This guy I've never even heard of from Iowa gets a whole running 5 to 6 paragraphs, and then there's a couple other things in here, and like, you know, it's hilarious that even among his own grifter subcult, he's not even really an entity. He's kind of a punchline. But at this time, we're kind of past the midway point. We're midway through, I think, our mainstream grifter topic. So it's time for our ad spot. And this one is kind of a spooky Beyond the Grave advertisement. We kind of dug it up, like almost like it's like found footage from our advertiser that we get our advertising spots from. A really great guy. Found us a great advertising that, like, you know, even though the founder has moved on, this ad spot is still producing content for all of you, and I think it will be really helpful if you have a desire for all the power in the world with none of the moral or ethical obligations. So if that is the case, I have got just the product for you to help you advance your life, your career, and move on to the better things out there. You know, just so long as you're willing to pay the price, as it were.
Do you want to know why powerful men fear no one except me? For the first time ever, I'm going to teach you my secrets in this exclusive DVD course. Everyone wants something they don't have. I find out what it is, and then I provide it in exchange for your secret. You'll learn 4 modules. The gift that can't be returned. Give a man what he wants. Now he owes you what he can never repay. The art of the web. Give the men at the top access to each other, and they will never let you fall. The discipline of being underestimated. Do it all in plain sight. No one believes what's right in front of them. And the power of ruin. Once you've got nothing to lose, no one can take anything from you.
I betrayed everyone I love, and I've never felt lighter.
Terrific guy, terrific. I barely know him, but the best at what he does.
You see, a rich man owns things. A powerful man owns men who own things. And when you own them, they're yours forever. Once you learn this, you can never go back. That's why the first DVD is free. The rest have a special price. Not money, something else. You know what it is? The men who run this world gave it up years ago. And what did they get? They got everything they ever wanted. Now you can too.
Call now. Operators are standing by. They won't ask for your name. And if you act in the next 10 minutes, we'll throw in a state-of-the-art camera surveillance system absolutely free.
I'm getting I'm getting too used to them because like the guy who does them has been pumping them out pretty pretty consistently as of late. Let me see here. I'm actually going to find the guy this time, unlike last time I was bumbling around for it. I'm pretty sure it's in the people I'm following as of late. Aha. So yeah, this guy is there's a lot more that we'll get to. I don't want to ruin our ad spots, but you should definitely follow this account. He's our main advertiser, finding us quality advertisers for the channel. I appreciate the work that he is doing the Lord's work by keeping this channel running. Anyway, so of course this obviously ushers in our Trump segment. This one from Donald Trump Stock Tracker. Obviously, you know, the only thing that Donald Trump cares about is the stock market. So get out there, pump those stocks so that he can pretend that he's doing a great job out there.
Now, let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. You know, if we get
but a very appreciated member of the Trump administration. We talk a lot about Bill Pulte here, but we forget sometimes about the number 2 cocksucker in the Trump administration, and that's Scott Bessent, the guy that before Bill showed up on the scene was the biggest Trump knob polisher, and that's why he was the favored son. But now Bill has kind of elbowed his way in. Here's Scott Bessent, the guy who's in charge of the Treasury, explaining that he doesn't understand how the economy and basic economics works.
You know, I'm confident that bonds will continue declining. We've got a spike in oil prices today that I don't really understand. You know, our announcement. You know,
yeah, well, funny that if you can't ever end the war that you started in the Middle East, it tends to have an effect on oil prices. I don't know if you didn't know. This whole supply demand thing. It's a mystery to the guy who worked for George Soros and clearly knows his stuff. I don't know what part of being the Secretary of the Treasury under Trump could have cost this guy 50 points off his IQ score. just shit happens, I guess. But as you also know, he's been basically trying to combat the like push down the long-term Treasury bills to try and shove interest rates down because the Fed and the economy refuse to, because anyone can look outside the window and understand the situation. So here's a series of tweets that I found funny, talking about Scott Bessent trying to intervene in the U.S. Treasury market. There's this one that was pretty good. We also have this one here. Bessent buying back $4 billion of the 40 trillion U.S. debt visualized. And of course, this last one is also pretty good. Trump talking about how obviously the economy would be doing much better if, you know, if the bond market, you know, just bent to his will. Never mind that the bond market is a reflection of growth and inflation expectations. So if you really wanted to change the opinion of the bond market, why don't you do stuff that would, you know, well, first of all, you wouldn't want the lower interest rates because you're simply suggesting that, well, I mean, if it's, you know, based on inflation. So, hey, here's the thing you do. Just fix the inflation problem and, you know, maybe bond rates will go down. Not necessarily exactly one for one because, you know, the economy could do better. So This is the thing that I find hilarious about Donald Trump is like, if the economy is doing so great, dipshit, then interest rates shouldn't go down. You wanting interest rates to go down is an admission that the economy is shit right now. So pick a fucking lane, motherfucker.
Interest rates. So we could have a GDP of 10 times. You know, they say, oh, it's going to be 3 times or 4.1. We could have a GDP of 10, 12, 15 times if they just leave us alone. Let the rates go down. We should pay the lowest.
But again, if it goes up that high, and all things being equal, you should see an increase in interest rates because the economy is doing better. The value adjusted return of the market would be higher than setting in treasuries. So therefore, treasuries have to go up. Again, this goes back to a discussion I think we had about this time last year, that the government is currently ran by economically illiterate fucking morons. People who have not, like, you could hit them with a fucking Econ 101 textbook and they would retain fucking nothing.
Interest rates, you know, every point of interest is $600 billion. Think of that. Every point of interest is $600 billion.
And that seems like an argument to just not run up the debt for no fucking reason like you've been doing. And even then, when you're the central reserve currency, debt is actually not that painful because it adds liquidity to the money supply, which may or may not be needed internationally. So again, like, if you don't want to have to pay so much on the national debt, here's a hint, idiot. Stop spending so much. I don't know what to tell you.
2 points means we make a fortune, but we keep driving it up. It's a very unfair system, and I've said it now for a long time. When our country,
I mean, this again sounds like a self-inflicted wound. If you don't want interest rates, if you don't want to have to pay back so much in interest debt, here's a wild idea. Just don't spend as much.
country does well, interest rates should go down. I mean, every time
that is the exact opposite of how that works. That is, in fact, the exact opposite of how that works. Oh my. He hadn't said the most stupid thing he possibly could have said yet, but he made sure to get there so you knew that indeed Donald Trump is a fucking idiot. If the economy's doing so well, then interest rates should go down. No, that's not how that works.
Here, our country's doing well. I say, oh, it's too bad because they lift up interest rates. They should drop interest rates because it means we have a strong country. And it's all based on credit, meaning good credit. And we have the best credit. And we'd pay off the debt very easily, very quickly. But if somebody's paying a half a point, we should be paying a half a point, not.
He's thinking about interest as like a risk thing. Like if you and I were to basically go out and get a loan, like the only thing that the bank is concerned about is the risk adjusted return. Like there's a lot more complicated economic factors that go into government bonds than simply riskiness. And this is just like even more proof of his like abject ignorance about how any of this works.
Somebody else. Right now, I think it's Switzerland has the lowest. Again, and I don't want to single them out, but if you take our business away from Switzerland, they have problems. So why are they paying a half a point?
Yeah, the business of you laundering money through Switzerland like everyone else does that's rich and powerful. Yeah, I mean, I guess no lie detected there.
And we're paying much more than that. Does that make sense to anybody? I mean, it seems pretty simple to me, but
yeah. Laugh along with the idiot president so he doesn't fire you. You're right, boss. You're absolutely right. Fuck. Somehow, even after that interview, we found a way to reach a new low. Got a new low. All 52 cards in a row. It seems now that I won't let go. Oh, who am I? A cold shoulder left to cry. You feel bad? Well, so do I. Yeah, so do I. Fuck. Trump suggests he can use the military on bond markets. Fuck my life. Is there another timeline that we can live in, please? Fuck. Like there's not even anything to fucking say to this. This is just wild. This is yeah. All right. Yeah. Yep. So the next thing I want to talk about is something that I've been trying to avoid talking about. I have been quietly following the whole silly shenanigans. That's the whole freaking, well, like everyone else on the internet, the silly shenanigans. That's the bricks and minifigs saga. It's been an interesting ride to watch. I only really became aware of it after the whole CoffeeZilla video. And I will say, the reason why I'm coming in is this little twist here that we're about to go over. Basically, bricks and minifigs settled, not with all of the parties, but came to a settlement. Here, let me see if it'll pull up here.
Picture.
There we go. Statement.
Then,
okay, so obviously this is this, in case you didn't know, is Leonard French. I've followed him for the longest time before I even started streaming. I like the dude. He's got pretty good stuff. But basically, bricks and minifigs is settling with the Mansell family, the ones that owned the Lego, the disputed Lego in question. The reason that this has made it onto our Truth Be Told segment, this sort of thing would not probably make it. Like, this whole thing is a disaster dumpster fire. Don't get me wrong, but it's on here for the settlement. The settlement itself is skeezy as fuck. So we're going to turn up the playback speed and we're going to let her kind of take it away. You should go watch his whole video. The only part I'm going to highlight here is this skeezy ass fucking settlement that makes clear what kind of mustache twirling, Saturday morning cartoon villains the bricks and minifigs management is. And if you think I'm just, saying that for hyperbole's sake, no, the dude literally has a waxed mustache. He looks like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. It's kind of crazy.
In substance, by BAM franchising, Ammon and Matt McNeff, the Baker-Salem entity, Josh Johnson, Brandon Best, and the Mansell family. Read it the way a lawyer reads it, slowly, clause by clause, because every sentence in a settlement statement was negotiated, and I mean every sentence. Adjectives are negotiated. Verb tenses are negotiated. Clause 1. The parties reached a comprehensive resolution of a private civil dispute through mediation. Fine. Standard. Clause 2. This settlement is a compromise of disputed claims. It is not an admission of liability, wrongdoing, or unlawful conduct by anyone. Hold that clause. We're coming back to it. It does more work than any other sentence in this document. Clause 3. The Mansells confirm that they have been compensated by BAM for the losses associated with their consignment arrangement, and they release their claims. Compensated. Amount undisclosed, and it will probably stay that way. But compare the language. June, a courtesy. August, compensation for losses. Those are different universities. Clause 4. BAM and its co-plaintiffs will dismiss their lawsuit against Brian Mansell. Note the tense, will dismiss. A press release is not a docket entry. A settlement is announced when the parties say so. It's real when the courts...
Yeah, the big thing that people often forget in law. Will is permissive. Will means you can or you cannot do. You may or you may not do. Will is permissive. Shall is an instruction. So obviously, because they don't know if the court will, finalize everything, it's a will, permissive. Shall is the affirmative instruction that someone must do something.
Docket says so. And then the part of the statement that matters most for what it doesn't say. Read that list of names again. BAM, the McNeffs, Baker-Salem, Johnson, Best, the Mansell family. Who isn't there? Ben Schneider, Reckless Ben LLC, or Victor Nguyen. The company's own press release confirms it. The matters involving Schneider are not resolved. Mediation with him remains ongoing. The lawsuit against the man with the Lego is ending. The lawsuit against the man with the camera is not.
No. No, this
Now the
this
twist.
is
The
Leonard
clause I'd read
French. He's actually cool.
most people scrolled right past. As part of the settlement, Brian Mansell has assigned to BAM his claims under the original consignment contract, and BAM, in the statement's words, may elect to pursue those claims against those responsible, with the Mansells agreeing to provide records and testimony in support. Let me say that in plain English. The company that sued Brian Mansell now owns Brian Mansell's lawsuit. Claims are property. You can sell them. You can settle them.
So he's going to get into more of the legal aspects about how you can transfer legal claims between parties and things like that. So basically what happened here is Brian Mansell was given a cash settlement for his injuries. BAM and the management of Bricks and Minifigs has taken control of the legal things. For the context here, Bricks and Minifigs is suing the former franchisee that entered into the consignment arrangement. And, you know, I would go watch CoffeeZilla's video to get a little bit more context as to the whole situation, the missing books, like the accounting, everything going on. But it's very clear what's going on here, because Bricks and Minifigs has an ongoing litigation dispute with the former franchisees that had operated that particular Bricks and Minifigs store where the Mansells had their Legos consigned to. So this is clear, like, and again, he also mentions that Reckless Ben has not been part of this settlement. So it's clear what is going on here. Bricks and Minifigs is trying to eliminate their clearless liability and trying to eliminate the bad PR of screwing over Brian Mansell, the guy who just wants his money or his Legos back, whichever, you know, to be made whole. And then they're going to target the parties that they think have personally wronged them, instead of, you know, taking responsibility for how poorly the whole situation was managed, from, you know, deciding to litigate against people who are just trying to find the truth, to, you know, trying to a RICO lawsuit against the Mansells, the people who just wanted their fucking Legos back. And now they're taking over their claims, their potential claims against the former franchisees, and they are now legally obligated to provide testimony and evidence against them. That's the part here I want to highlight. This skeezy ass fucking settlement that, by the way, I think makes the Mansells look pretty bad too. That basically they are going to throw the people that are being sued alongside them in this like petulant temper tantrum being done by Bricks and Minifigs. That basically, like, they're going to take the escape pod, and now Bricks and Minifigs management is basically, you know, lining up their guns to continue their petty litigation against other people instead of just, you know, taking the fucking L. That's what this, that's why I wanted to highlight this, because this is just so many levels of silliness. I did kind of want to go over the Andrew Tate stuff, but I don't know if I really have time for it. Because there's some, well, there's not a whole lot there. Mostly about the whole, like, the fraudulent Mexican visa that you know, the Tates were trying to, that Tristan Tate was trying to say was part of a Halloween prop. Well, it turns out it is an actual visa. Oopsies. That's going to look bad that, you know, you lied basically to the federales, not once but twice, because here's Andrew Tate in sworn documents that are filed with the court that, you know, anything that's filed with the court, you and your lawyers are responsible for, and if it's a lie, there can be sanctions. Almost every single one of the posts from this account, oh, that's a nice weaselly word, almost every single one of the posts from this account named this account does not belong to Andrew Tate, and he did not generate these posts. Ooh, what was that? What was that again? What was that again? Let me.
Wudon, OFWUDAN. Try and follow
say that
I'm
again
on
for
Twitter
me.
at the moment at of Wudan, OFWUDAN. Try and follow me on Twitter if you can, because it's where I'm most active. But my Twitter accounts don't last that long, so who knows how long I'll be there for.
Yeah. So things aren't looking good for the tape bros. Then of course we have another update in the Atlas trading case. Let's see here. We'll go back down to this and then I can back out. Atlas case update. Another blow to the Atlas guys. Another lawyer asking to withdraw. So we have another one of the defendant's lawyers asking to withdraw from the case. Can't imagine why. As I pointed out down here, one by one, the smug grins are leaving their face and they're taking it out on their lawyers instead of themselves because they can't be wrong. They are too smart to get caught for breaking the law. So, like, the case is starting to really, really fall apart for them. Was Kais Maalej contacted on this to get this? No, he was not. We'll get to Kais though in a second. We have some new updates about his campaign. But before we get there, I know some of you. Oh no, I'm gonna have to open back up case search. 1 second here while I get things working again. Bridge. I hate when it makes me do this. That's a bridge. That's also a bridge. Okay. Got to pull back up the Houston Wade stuff. So some of you may know, if you've been following on Meltdown, I did a video that was a clip from last week to get people up to speed. Apparently not everyone was up to speed on the newest. Did not mean to do that. The newest Houston Wade stuff. So the original hearing was set for the 14th. I mean, not the 14th, the 21st. So yesterday on Friday, I had forgotten about that. And luckily it got rescheduled. So we did not get to hear the motion hearing or the omnibus hearing. Instead, we got a continuance out to the 14th. I'm hoping to have that off so we can hear about the special motion for dismissal or to suppress. And hopefully I'll get to listen in on that live and be able to report to you as to what's going on with that. In other news personality stuff, we have found out that Kevin Malone has started pumping quantum again, but also he gave us this gem of stupidity. Apparently he penned this letter about how markets are broken. Look, I don't know how you make a 28-page letter and then somehow have this, like, this is the audiobook version of it. And it's an hour long, almost an hour and 15 minutes. What extra in the audiobook is there compared to here? I would sure like to know. But basically, this is just him crying about how markets are supposedly corrupt. And so now he's going to move to even more illiquid markets and wants to gamble even more like a degenerate, even though him gambling like a degenerate is what got him in trouble in the first place. Arguably, it should be the securities fraud. But again, you know, Trump's in office, so crime is legal. Do it while you still can. All righty. So now we can move on to GameStop. And the memes are coming hot and heavy. As Hannah had pointed out, I believe yesterday during her live stream, we've hit a new low. The lowest GameStop has been in 2 years. And so the baggies are not taking it very well. And they are not handling this very well. I love the imagery here that, like, you guys voted. You guys voted for the dilution, and now you're bitching about the dilution now that the stock's down low. Like, what are we even doing here? Naturally, you've got that side of the coin, and then you have the, like, AI slop copium side of the coin. Let's let her rip.
They took the green one off the wall. bolted plate where it used to be. Left one way down and that was all. One door out and no door free. So I brought a torch and I brought a light. Welded it back where it should have been. They took the bye, boys. Now the cell goes out the window tonight.
I don't even.
They took the green one.
I I do have to inject some common wisdom here from Tony. This recent run up, like everyone's complaining about the price, complaining about how management's operating, yet for some reason, like the warrants are ripping right now. You know, you can like when you can get December 2027 leaps cheaper than the warrants, there's a problem. You know, or you could buy, you know, use that money to fund buying shares at a lower cost basis. Like, or yeah, like if you want to be like a complete degen gambler, you can get the same strike as the warrants and get it extended on out for another year and what would that be at this point? A year and 4 months? That'd be closer to probably 3 months. A year and 3 months at the same cost basis. Like, wild. Actually, they're a little bit cheaper, so you could even walk home with a little bit extra money in your pocket. You know, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Then, of course, we have your standard baggy nonsense of if the this was the cope is like, you know, our share price may be heading to the tanker, but you know, eBay's going down with us kind of, you know, energy. If the eBay board thinks $1.20 is 125 is too cheap, we should see massive insider buying this prices. We'll see what happens. At this rate, we're going to be able to get eBay and another company, lol, which is whatever. What is eBay trading at right now, out of curiosity? Oh, it's up from here. It's up back to 104. Whoopsies. But, you know, I'll point this out again, like I did in the post, and I've mentioned multiple times. The issue has never been the price. The issue has been management. The issue has been the ability to actually produce the money needed for the deal, and that it would be actually good for eBay shareholders, the fiduciary duty that the eBay board has to its shareholders. That's been the issue. So I don't know. Sub 100, it isn't though. It's like your screenshot shows that it's trading 100 and now it's back up to 104. Let's fucking go. eBay, sub 100 eBay is a phenomenal signal for GME. I thought you guys were bragging about how you guys had, you know, a positive cost basis on eBay and now you don't. So like, what's the story here? Does it just, well, of course it changes to whatever narrative they need to justify how they're not fucked. But like, like, have you guys checked your stock recently? I'm pretty sure eBay's doing a lot better than GameStop is right now. All that happened is the price fix up towards that, you know, that 125 price that kept it a little bit more elevated into the teens went away because everyone is finally realizing the deal is dead. And so it's drifting back closer to fair value. I mean, a lot of people had price targets in the upper 90s. So trading around $100 to $104 is still a premium to where a lot of people think it should be. Like eBay's doing fine. Why don't you guys worry about your own fucking stock? Of course, you know, if it's GameStop time, we got to be talking about Marantz for a bit.
The theory behind GameStop is that it is no longer a retail stock. It is a fintech stock. Fintech stocks trade at a multiple of 50 to 100x. Certainly in this market.
Yeah, I love how Morantz here is trying to change the narrative um around GameStop because valuing GameStop for the business that it is instead of this mythical business that Morantz thinks it is means that it is fairly valued. But if you try and say it's like a fintech stock, or you try and say that it's something that it absolutely isn't, well, then you can put whatever stupid ass fucking valuation you want to on it. So that's exactly what he's doing there. Well, what's also been going on that's been really funny is that Morantz, having deleted his old Reddit account, apparently has an alt account that he's going around and doing doing all sorts of posts that even baggies are calling him out on. But yeah, we also know from his let's look here. That he also has an alt X account, which is pretty funny too. Like for a guy who's like, "Oh, the mean people, I can't handle anymore. I'm gonna just delete my accounts, and I'm gonna pay any attention to them." And then here he is, 5 seconds later, back on X, doing what he was always been doing.
My burner account, you know me. Right there, he's my guy. He's there. There's Roy Sensor. This idiot.
So yeah, his burner account. Hi, how you doing, Morantz? But he was having his own cope meltdown, dealing with the prices as of late.
Bitcoin goes up, GameStop goes down. Bitcoin goes down, GameStop goes down. eBay goes up, GameStop goes down. eBay goes down, GameStop goes down. GameStop's earnings go up, GameStop goes down. GameStop's revenue goes down, or up, or down. GameStop goes down. Ryan Cohen announces accusation. He acquiring eBay. GameStop goes down. eBay goes up.
Initially, it didn't go down, which is also kind of weird because usually when you have an acquisition, the company doing the acquiring goes down because it's never a free lunch. You need to expend money off your balance sheet, or you need to dilute, or you need to do something to pay for the company you're acquiring. So the acquirer's stock price almost always goes down. And then the acquiree, their price goes up. But, GameStop's went up because at least, GameStop theoretically could have been deploying their cash, and then went down afterwards. So even Morantz's stupid fucking narrative is a lie. Who could have guessed? Morantz lying? Nah, never has ever happened. Nah, you're just kidding me. Morantz lying. When has he ever done that?
GameStop goes down. We own it, 10%. Doesn't matter. GameStop goes down. GameStop record breaking, all of it, every damn variable. GameStop goes down. GameStop's at the lowest price it's been in 2 years. Copy. And their profits and all their margins are the highest it's been in the history of the company.
No. Yeah, revenue isn't at the highest it's been for the company. Like, people don't just look at one quarter, Morantz. People look at the entire, like usually a trailing 12-month, but they in order to be able to make a future projection, which again, something that GameStop refuses to do, is to give forward guidance until they need to acquire, Ryan Cohen's newest pet project. And then they'll give forward guidance to their investors, but only to try and woo eBay investors into approving the deal. But, for forward guidance for its actual investors, no, can't fucking do that. That's too much to ask. But quarterly, let's even look quarterly. Last quarter, yes. What are we talking about here, Morantz? This is your trailing 5 quarters. Yes, quarter over quarter, revenue is up. But what was the quote you said again? What was that again? that I heard you say.
And all their margins, the highest it's been in the history of the company.
Highest it's been in the history of the company. Well, Q4 had 1.1 billion in revenue, so no. And if you want to talk about margins, the margins were pretty much the same quarter over quarter. Like, this is silliness. Like, in fact, if you want to like get to operating income, like it's on par with Q4, which is good. Like, I don't want to take away from that, but like the idea that like this is just the best the company's ever been, and you know, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. The reason the price is the way it is, accretive dilution must not be so bullish. Well, I don't even hate the idea that instead of buying back the debt and taking money off, again, if you were legitimately going to make an acquisition, it makes more sense to buy back the bonds with shares instead of buy back with equity than to buy back with cash and leave that cash on your balance sheet to use. But like the situation, the reason why GameStop is getting priced at or near the company's, you know, the company's book value per share plus EPS, which is like something around like $15-16, is because like there is no real revenue growth. Like, I mean, look at it here. Like, I know Q1, you know, quarter over quarter, there is growth, but you haven't, like, that's one quarter. Wall Street's gonna be like, show me you can do that consistently. And then we're golden. And you know, if Ryan Cohen does that, cool, whatever. That's great. And then you will actually get a multiple put on your stock that reflects the growth potential of the company, and that valuation will go up and the price will go up. But if the company isn't growing, paying anything more than book value plus EPS is a losing consideration. Like, if the company isn't growing, I shouldn't spend any more than $15 on this company. If Ryan Cohen can, you know, turn this into a consistent revenue growth company, then great. Yeah, it's worth more than that. But until then, you shouldn't pay a single cent more. Not a single fucking cent more. And that's why the stock's going down. The Bitcoin treasury strategy failed. The eBay deal fell through. There's nothing else on the table. There's no other thing that seems to suggest forward growth. They're not acquiring any company, other company that they've described or told anybody. And on top of all of that, like, here's the thing that blows my mind. And I agree 100% with Platinum about this. If Ryan Cohen thinks he can run eBay better than eBay, why not show it? Like, you want to you already have this deal with PSA. You already, you know, have people coming in, bringing their cars to you. Why not set up a platform like eBay's for people to do the live selling of their collectibles on your website, and you take a cut? Easy, free revenue. Like, beat eBay at their own game if you think you can do it better. There is nothing, absolutely nothing stopping you from doing this. Do something like the power packs. You could even, like, you know, do some sort of branding for this. You can have this sort of marketplace, this gaming marketplace that like a lot of what has killed eBay are these niche retail subsections taking chunks out of eBay's market share. You saw it with clothing. You saw it with certain other items. Like, if eBay doesn't want to effectively acquire like GameStop, let's be honest, like, you know, the function of the transaction is that GameStop is acquiring eBay, but functionally at the end of the transaction, eBay shareholders still hold the majority of the company. It's like eBay's doing the acquisition. But like, if they don't want to do that, just say, fine, fuck it. We will beat you at this collectibles game. We will beat you. Like, that's the business plan right there. Like you don't even need to go into a partnership with them. Do the live selling, do these things. You know, you have this direct relationship with PSA. Like this is the part, like, I know I get like a lot of people, especially Morantz, because he doesn't like logic cutting into his fairy tales, acting like I'm some GameStop bear. But what frustrates me more than any other meme stock is that GameStop could be a good company. It could. It very much could. If Ryan Cohen would do his job and pull his head out of his fucking ass. And that's what's frustrating. Like I'm a gamer. I've been in like retail. You're running a toy store, for God's sake. You're running a toy store. This isn't fucking hard. That's why I get so frustrated. That's why I suggested the Corsair deal. You know, build, like, you could even buy, you know, good old games, or make a version of it where you allow digital selling of games. Like, the biggest thing a lot of people hate about Steam is you can't trade your digital copies of the game. They don't let you. You don't even own your own fucking games. GameStop could perform that service by having a platform that does it. It's a big tech company, not a toy store. I'm gonna pull this off for a second here. But like you could be the digital version of GameStop. You allow people to trade their games like they actually fucking own them. You could buy Corsair, and you could make a PC, sort of like, you know, like what Steam's trying to do with like the Steam Deck and like the Steam desktop that it's trying to make. You could use that as a platform to onboard people into your game store by having it preloaded on there. You can build a budget PC. Like, it wouldn't be the top line gear in there. You'd probably have used used components, or not used, but like new old stock of a lower, you know, downgrade, but a competent gaming rig. And how you would sell it to how you would sell it to the parents walking in wanting to buy the PS whatever, or the Xbox whatever, or, you know, the Switch 2000. It's like, you could buy the gaming toy for your kid, or you could get an actual fucking PC that does games, and oh, by the way, they can do their homework and stuff like this for the same price that you would buy the console for. That's the pitch. It's so fucking easy. Bring back budget PCs, please. I know that's going to be a little bit more difficult because of the RAM shortage and all that stuff right now, but like, there are so many ways to attack this thing. But yeah, like Raider Bo says, it's like RC isn't passionate about GME, and that's the fucking problem. That is the fucking problem. He's not interested in the business. But what can you do? What can you do? What can you do? Though the next big thing that's now coming out is that instead of doing stuff that would make consumers happy, GameStop would rather, you know, pad out its balance sheet and its cash flow statements by making you pay more on pre-order deposits. Gold star. Well done. Absolutely absurd. I don't get it. I do not get it. But now it's time for this probably should have been upfront with the other personalities, but now it's time to talk about how rent-free me and a bunch of other people on X live rent-free in scam investors' head. Like, I Like when, like maybe, you know, Rubbing My Axe or someone who watches the show pretty frequently can find the last time that we talked about Scam Investor on this show. I'm pretty sure it's been a fucking year. I find it funny that he's trying to transition into this like right wing MAGA grifter because his pin post is no longer about his like fucking scam grifter BAM investment model algorithm thing. It's about him trying to pander to the alt-right with the fuck is anarcho trannies. What? I just now read that. And I'm just make it stop. But oh yeah. Oh hey, we got another video about him, and like I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked on a side quest. I was about to show you stuff about him being all freaking goobered out about me and Sean Williams and a bunch of other people. But like again, here he is. In case you forgot, like I'm pretty sure the last time we talked about Scam Investor is we were talking about his fantasies and how he is a fucking chemtrail.
In all the years I've lived here since '96, and they're just spraying massively today. Got this one right here that's just finishing off there in the distance. But it's that's out over the, this is overhead.
Like, how can you take this guy seriously? How can you take this guy seriously as some sort of financial analyst or anything like that? This dude believes that condensation trails from fucking jet airliners are secretly trying to kill him. This guy is not a serious person. And then, of course, Doug has already retired from his CEO job at Virtu and is working part-time as a board member of another company, and is like a multimillionaire. And this like cretin on the internet is making AI slop nonsense about him because he's so obsessed about how successful Doug is and that he will be successful as him. And of course, I think it's like right here. Oh yeah, now he's got like Trump generated AI slop. Well done. Up here it is. Like this right here is a work of art in how pathetic Scam Investor is.
I don't say fucking too fucking much. Fuck you, Sean.
Filthy Amy, Shilly Sean, Fruity Sean.
Like this is supposed to be Amy? What? What? That looks nothing like Amy. What the fuck is this? Oh my goodness. Also, like, where's my tie? And also, that is awful. That doesn't look like a trench coat at all. What the fuck is that? Like, it's just a suit jacket. Like, oh, like he was talking up how good Grok is. What the fuck is this?
I don't say fucking too fucking much. Fuck you, Sean.
Filthy Amy, Shilly Sean, Fruity Sean, Progressive's dog, good job. Where is Progressive? Progressive is my sock puppet account, boss.
I always love when people do these AI things and they can't get actual voice actors, or they don't even like bother to change the voice. Also, the idea that Progressive Libertarian is my alt account. Rent fucking free. Amazing. But also Sean Williams bringing up yet another BAM swing and a miss. BAM is like, you can always tell his predictions because they're always like, he uses his chart to construct a narrative that he already has in his head. And with the BAM model predicting Bitcoin short overnight, Like that's already based on the fact that Bitcoin's been going down. So he's just going and following the trend. Like this is why when something like this happens, he ends up being wrong. Like this guy is an unserious goof. And the fact that there are baggies, like actually I have a question. Are there seriously baggies that still take advice from scam investor? I would really like to know, because this guy has been disastrous for a lot of people's finances. Like I the amount of times he pumped Mullen straight into delisting, that is crazy to me, that people followed him over the ledge, over the cliff, and down into the ditch to die. Like that takes a special someone. I'm curious. Are there people out there that actually believe that he like knows something about finance? I'd sure like to know. So we're on to the MMTLP section with more trust me bro information from the MMTLP community. We'll get to PP, because man, I was going through some of the Fannie and Freddie baggy subreddit, and we'll get to that. I was tempted. I almost wanted to just post it straight to Meltdown, but no, you guys will get the scoop, and then I'll put it up there, because oh my goodness. Last week received a certified letter from my broker offering to buy my original Series A preferred shares. Lawyer reviewing it and will send a counter offer. Yeah, I'll put that under shit that never fucking happened. Sure. Cool story there, bro. Definitely happened. Then of course we have just Dennis, who again is another one of these like alt-right MAGA grifters, abject conspiracy theorists. Like he gets like 1,000 views, like 6 likes, another 1,000 views, 4 likes, like, but then he talks about like MMTLP, and then it's like 157,000 views, 680 likes, 12 bookmarks, a bunch of retweets. Like that's one thing about like these conspiracy groups is they have a certain marketing where they get all of them and their friends pumping it to drive the algorithm to try and get people to watch. And it's kind of crazy how they can trick the algorithm. And then, you know, that's Dennis's whole shtick here, is why he keeps perpetuating the whole MMTLP saga, because the conspiracy theorists pump his show and it drives his viewership. The problem is that never follows through on anything. So like once you stop talking about MMTLP, they won't promote for you. And then, you know, like what happened here, like it's back to no one gives a shit. Penny for the lot sale. And then of course we had the whole, like, this has been an ongoing thing for, I want to say months now, or not months, but like a month at least, probably going back to like the beginning of July, about this supposed letter that's sitting on Trump's desk that, you know, Trump is going to sign to, you know, do something for, you know, the MMTLP people. What it will do, no one actually knows. And, you know, my guess is this letter doesn't fucking exist. I mean, you seriously think that the Trump administration is, oh, and here's that same tweet that, you know, Dennis was quoting, thousands of military veterans who served our nation had their financial assets stolen without any accountability for Gary Gensler's SEC or FINRA. Dude, you bought a stock that had barely any revenue. Its assets were worthless. It was going to probably go bankrupt. Like, what fucking even? To demand full transparency and immediate answers regarding the MMTLP regulatory financial scandal, President Trump, please sign the letter delivered to White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and others in your administration. Yeah, sure. Cool story. Has the full text of the letter been made public? Nope. I'd be interested in reading exactly what it asked the president to do and what specific actions or remedies it proposes. And I, of course, said, LOL, that would require the letter to actually exist. Bull the Butcher goes on and says, the cult demanding transparency doesn't want to be transparent. Say it ain't so. Sounds like you're jealous or it is worried. Putz. How much money will shareholders get if this magic letter is signed? Nothing. Because again, there's no evidence this letter actually fucking exists. And they won't produce the evidence because I almost can guarantee you it doesn't exist. This one is pretty funny. I'm going to post the X version of this and then we'll go to it in the, because there's some funny meltdown comments on this one. So this is Pizzagate Ann basically saying that we already had one massive press conference. I'm sorry. Massive press conference. Yeah, that is not the way I would have described that press conference. It definitely was not massive. Oh, we'll do another. Okay, Ann, don't threaten me with a good time. Yes, please. Please do another one of those fucking cringe press conferences out in front of the SEC so we can all laugh at you again. Are you going to spend 30 minutes for press questions and no one asks any questions? Like, oh my goodness, this is great. But yeah, I think this one's the one here. The funniest part is, even by some Looney Tunes logic, she was right. All of her made-up soft sit tier rambling was flawless, and she had the SEC dead to rights. Did she really think this administration's DOJ would do anything about it? Yeah, they won't, but of course she believes they will because, you know, she's one of these, you know, QAnon clowns. Of course she thinks the administration is going to do something. Why wouldn't they? And then, of course, they're apparently going to try and get on Charles Payne show on Fox Business. I'm sure that is going places. I promise to work on this is sort of like I'll hand it off. I'll hand it off to the intern to do in their spare time kind of comment. Well, that's just me. I don't have a lot to talk about MicroStrategy so much as the business, but I will tell you something. Michael Saylor's cringe AI slop game is on point. We all died of COVID in 2020, and this is hell. Okay, I watched this. You now have to suffer.
Bitcoin is digital capital. SDRC is digital credit. You thought strategy just buys Bitcoin? Well,
it does. That's literally all you do. Is there a punchline there, please?
there's a little more embedded. MSGR is amplified Bitcoin. Up more, down more. That's the game. Bitcoin drops by 50.
So you admit that you're basically a leveraged Bitcoin ETF. Thanks. I mean, I mean, I guess I'll give it to you for saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, I guess I'll give it to you for saying the quiet part out loud, but okay.
Can drop 75. Buy Bitcoin, hold 10 years. Ignore the noise, survive the fears. Fix the credit, fix the equity. That's the strategy. Buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin. We've got to be prepared either way.
I like that the AI generating this realized that it was making slop for a shitty company, and just like you can tell, like spinning through this, that other than the opening here, like this whole and like the graphics, this whole thing is on a loop. Like it's the same fucking thing over and over and over again. There is not a bit of originality expended in this whatso fucking ever. Brilliant. Well done. Does someone want to explain to me in this almost like, I guess it's supposed to feel like a National Geographic documentary, that Michael Saylor is speaking French? We'll get to that in a second. This isn't what a real CEO does. I'll agree with that. I mean, no argument there. This is just weird.
Un lac, tu vois, si tu es ingénieur, puis tu tombes sur un lac, tu vois les remous dans l'eau, tu penses à la gravité, puis là tu te dis, ben si je construis qu'un bacage, que je mets une turbaille dessus, que je fais passer l'eau dedans, que je branche ça sur une centrale hydroélectrique, puis que je fais tourner la dynamo, voilà, je fais de l'électricité. Puis si je suis vraiment intelligent, ben là je tire la ligne électrique jusqu'au village en bas dans la vallée, puis voilà, j'allume le village au complet.
Like, what does Bitcoin or Michael Saylor or any of this have to do with a beaver building a fucking dam? I'm so lost. So absolutely lost. But you know, I guess at least good on Saylor because of the Bitcoin bounce. It's bouncing back up again. Still not looking super great. Down really far from the highs. A year ago at this time, it was up at 358, currently at 119.25. So yikes. Yikes. No, I don't feel like getting into Michael's George Soros conspiracies. I put that there, I think, for a reason, and then I don't feel like the reason matters anymore. So we're back to an update on the Maalej political campaign. It's unbelievable that an undercover journalist disguised as an alleged Hamas member, who is also known as an Bed Bath. Oh my goodness, he's tied this whole thing into Bed Bath and Beyond. Okay, sure. So he's like, again, he's doing like the voter ID stuff. Also doing cringe slop silliness to go along with it.
Are you telling me I am going to jail? Can I still vote in Minnesota?
Why? Like, I don't want to say Keist is the most charismatic guy, but like he's, I'd say the word is animated. I'd look for, but why do you need AI slop with some silly voiceover? Why can't you just be the one doing this video? Like it's the same thing that like I've deleted so many Michael videos that he's doing on his YouTube channel because he's not doing the videos anymore. He has this like AI slop voiceover with this AI generated, you know, image and it just like I get it. I do use AI to create thumbnails and some scenes for art that, you know, I can't make. I'm not that talented. I can do some Photoshop stuff and you know, construct a scene, but like doing AI art to make, you know, thumbnails, not unreasonable. You tune into the show and it's me and I'm discussing the things and it's my voice. It's not some character that looks like me. It's not some generic voiceover going through it. No, I'm producing the content. This, I don't fucking get it. Why are you, it's this analogy is going to be a little trying for some people, but it's like when like in a fantasy game or setting, you construct a magic system and you have people doing magic for things that they could just do. And it would be less cumbersome to just do the thing rather than use magic to do it. And it's a sign of bad writing. And this is a great example of this. Why do you need AI to do this? Why? Why do you need AI to do any of this? Just look into the camera and speak. It's like what are we doing here? I don't get it.
This is crazy. At least put me in a halfway house so I can vote.
Or like if you're a little embarrassed about your appearance, like you could have the AI do it, but just put your own voice in there at least or something. I just whatever. So in a crossover special, this is going to be our lead into our Fannie and Freddie segment. I probably should put that in there because like I think I forgot to put Pulte and Fannie and Freddie in the title. I'll probably have to go back and do that. But anyway, so Billio is back now that, you know, that Lisa Cook won up at the Supreme Court, and this is coming back down. They're still going to go after her, even though left and right, you know, Bill Pulte's lies have been exposed. Every single one of his like allegations that have been turned over to the DOJ and they've tried to prosecute has gotten tossed out of every courtroom. But here he is again. Mortgage fraud is fraud. Yeah, well, I guess when your parents do tax fraud, that isn't fraud, or, you know, because I don't see you chasing after that. Or how about what was the recent news article that came out that Donald Trump bought 2 houses that he claimed to be his primary residence in down there in Florida and then lived in neither one of them. So is mortgage fraud, or is it, you know, just not fraud when you like the person who's committing the fraud? Or, you know, like Ken Paxton, who has 5 fucking residences in Texas and counts multiples of those as his primary residence. Is mortgage fraud, or is it just, you know, not fraud when you like the person committing the fraud? You know, just the apex level of this administration that, you know, so long as you're connected to it, you can do all the crime you want to. It's like the advertisement we were talking about. You know, the people in control right now have long ago given up their soul, their morals, and ethics. All they care about is power and money and exerting that power on other people because they have tiny, tiny balls and tiny, tiny penises. And if you go to Congress, you'd be scarce to find any stones among any of them. They are all in a lustful quest for power, and you are the person they will walk over to gain that power. God, that was dark. Anyway, back to the meme stock stuff. Bill gets a response from Kais Maalej. Pulte. I also thought that Kais didn't like Pulte because Trump was, you know, doing stuff in the Middle East and supporting Israel. But of course, now that Kais has got a political campaign, he needs that grift support. Like it's just weird how flexible Kais's morals are when it goes from something he feels passionate about to suddenly it's something that could benefit him. Then, you know, all cards are off the table. If you ever need a secret set of eyes on mortgage fraud, I'm ready to help. My undercover investigation skills are available to lawfully investigate, document, and expose potential fraud wherever the facts lead. Yeah, well, that's the problem. Bill Pulte isn't interested in facts or any stuff like that. So don't worry. That brings us to the Fannie and Freddie subreddit. I'm sure y'all get a kick out of this one. Title: Rumors About Uplist. I would normally ignore this, but these guys have interviewed Pulte several times before, and it seems weird to tweet this given the connection. It's probably more BS, but I wouldn't be mad if it's true. Ah! It's, what do you know, guys? It's pee-pee! Oh my freaking God. This is the level of desperation that the Fannie and Freddie people are at, that they will follow this numpty fucking grifter just in we are getting fresh rumors in circulation that Fannie and Freddie to exit OTC markets and go public. Not a shred of evidence, nothing supporting it, not even a single thing. And yet these clowns are so desperate to get out of their bad decisions and shitty trade that they will believe fucking pee-pee seeds. Guys, did you know that his name is a fucking masturbation joke? Like this is clown world finance. Oh my goodness. And they're just all eating it up down here. Because again, title of the show, The Comfortable Lie. PP says that they will IPO. So therefore, we believe it, not because there's any evidence, not because it's true, but because we want to believe it. Therefore, it must be true. Oh my goodness. I saw that gym today and I could not believe it. It's craziness. So apparently they also have some more Pulte stuff here. What's this one? I'm blocked by him, so I can't tag it. So effectively, immediately, these programs, along with Cosner and Amish programs, will be open and marketed to all Americans. I don't get why this. Oh, okay, so I don't like that. Just seems like an okay thing. I don't know why that has anything to do with your guys' stock. Wall Street breaking. Pulte fires at least 10 executives from F2A. Yeah, because they want to put more of their flunkies in. Like that's what happened when he first came into office. Was he kicked out all the old staff and put a bunch of his friends and Trump flunkies in positions of power. Like, guys, this isn't a sign of good things. This is a sign of the corrupt arm of the state coming in and inserting itself halfway up your ass like a sock puppet. Like, this is the thing that confuses me. Like, I was in the Fannie and Freddie trade. I took it as a swing trade. I took my 50% profit and I moved along because I knew this is the shit that was going to happen. You know, Trump is more preoccupied on whatever other shit he's doing. Bill Pulte doesn't give a fucking flying fuck about Fannie and Freddie. He's too busy using his position of power to jerk off Donald Trump as furiously as possible. And that means going after his political enemies and firing people at Fannie and Freddie and putting in his crony friends in positions of power. Like, guys, wake the fuck up. You're getting fucked. And you're literally bowing down and worshiping the people that are actively fucking you. Ugh. I can't. I can't sometimes. Yeah, but like this, I at least know that like I've been hanging around the subreddit and know that like, you know, it's not a total loss if, you know, the Democrats like end up winning the House and the Senate. But here's the thing, like like Congress has bigger problems to deal with than Fannie and Freddie. They don't care. The administration obviously doesn't care, and that's the big problem with this trade. Like at the prices it's at, I would be kind of interested if there was any movement that seemed to suggest that thing was going to happen. But Congress doesn't care. Trump doesn't care. Pulte's too busy doing whatever the fuck Pulte does. Like, what part of this trade would make a normal investor, you know, want to get in on this? And, you know, good on, you know, Pershing Square and all of them being behind it, and Michael Burry making what I think is probably the worst decision of his life by getting invested in this. But like, there's nothing here that would suggest that this is anywhere near happening. Not a single thing. And I'm confused how people get confused into you know, believing it is. And a movement wouldn't be complete without a change, without a change.org petition. Mm. Oh my goodness. Well, I think we're gonna skip over the Bed Bath and Beyond stuff because that gets kind of overplayed. Other than this one here, because this is just dumb. Like the idea that just because Elon Musk is retweeting artwork of this lady with these butterflies, that clearly this must mean that Elon is secretly in DK Butterfly or whatever is yeah, it's that's pretty special. Extra special levels of special. Is there a way that we can get a large version of this? Yes. So I know for some people, some of the smaller meme stocks are, they don't get as much airtime. They don't get as much play on other channels when it comes to like calling out these grifters. But no, we try and give equal measure here. I know on Meltdown, the big ones are to go after AMC, GME, Bed Bath people because, it's funny and they're the big ones. But I like diversifying. It's like diversifying a portfolio. You need to diversify your memes. You need to diversify the people that the idiots that you're laughing at. And Tony here has brought us some great laughs about finger motion. Okay, first of all, when your company is called Finger Motion, it's called Finger Motion. I can't. When your company is called Finger Motion, how can you be taken seriously? Like, but of course, like Tony and a lot of us on X have been pointing out the like toxic notes. Like a lot of these penny stocks have this like almost death spiral financing where they give warrants to their creditors. They use the warrants to dilute shareholders. It's toxic financing. It's detrimental to equity. It is a death sentence. But of course, again, people don't want to read this stuff. And so they get burned. And then they cry about how they got burned because they didn't read the writing on the wall. Here's Polish pedo talking about how can you please why Shane was said packing and who led the effort to put in place Julie Kahn, who promptly castrated existing shareholders. Like the company doesn't make money, dipshits. The company doesn't make money. Like, where do you think the money comes from if the company doesn't make any money? It comes from you, you stupid motherfucker. Like that's what happens. That is what happens. Like this company is so shitty that I go to my Fidelity page and it doesn't even link the financial statements. That is how shitty your shitco is. Let me see if I can pull it off Yahoo Finance. But like when like reputable brokerages don't even carry your financial statements, there's your sign. You might be in a shitco. Let's go newest to oldest. So yeah, your trailing 12-month revenue, 16 million. Your cost of revenue is 15 million, and your operating expenses is 7 million. So like before you like you're barely making any money on like your total revenue is like 1 million. Less than that, yeah, you're making gross profit of almost 800,000, and then operating expenses come in and obliterate everything. Like where do you think the company gets the money to operate when their operating expense, like they aren't profitable? Like the expenses of operating the company is more expensive than the money they bring in. Like, where do you think the money comes from? It's just, I just you can't help some of these people. They just are determined to be dumb. They want to, they don't learn anything, and they do the stupid thing over and over again and expect different results. I just there's no helping these people. They can't be helped. They don't want to learn. But I know that we don't have a stupid tweet of the week because a stupid tweet of the week competition because none of the ladies are here and we have no guests. But I do believe that this qualifies for stupid tweet of the week, automatic winner. I'll take opinions from the comments from the viewers here on this one, because this should be put in the Hall of Fame of stupid. Everybody is getting MOAS other than GameStop. That's Ryan Cohen. That is what creating shareholder value looks like. Yeah, I mean, of course, the company that invented a cure for fucking cancer, or at least a type of cancer, or is going to, of course, go parabolic. And that's not MOAS. That's just the company, doing what companies do, creating a product that is revenue generating and projects future growth. Like that's just what normal businesses do. And we talked about it earlier that there's a lot that Ryan Cohen could do to help GameStop and make it a better business. But I think, like Raiderbo said, he ain't passionate about the business. So there you go. I couldn't help myself. I had to be a little cheeky. If only GameStop had cured cancer instead of being a cancer. But that is where I will leave this for tonight. It has been fun as usual. I know schedules have been a little tight, and they may be a little tight for me. So there may be more edited content and less live streams, at least on the go forward, for probably till the end of the semester, and maybe probably until next summer, because I got classes. Amy's been busy, Platinum has been busy, and I've got other projects that I'm going to have to be working on. So some of them is following up on some of our previous topics. Just a lot of stuff going on right now. So right now the live streams have been staying current. I don't know how often Platinum and Amy will be there. We may just be doing OBS stuff with a lot more fancy effects like we did the last week's live stream, but we'll see. But for tonight, that is all. And we'll catch you next week, possibly. If not, we'll have some edited content. We'll be trying to, for sure, drop in on the Houston Wade hearing. But till next time, I will catch you later.